About a year ago at this time, let's just be frank, I was struggling. I didn't have strong goals in mind. I barely had any idea what I was even doing in any area of my life. I had almost no discipline. I wasn't reading books. I wasn't learning every day. I was just basically existing, doing the average basic things, playing video games, doing my homework, doing my studies, occasionally trying to find avenues to be productive, but not really that often. This was until I met Mark. So, you see, Mark, as soon as I met him, I knew this guy was a unique guy. The way he lived his life clearly seemed to be quite different from the way everyone else was living their life. He did not do unnecessary activities, first of all. He didn't play video games. In fact, he often mentioned how he used to play that all the time, but he quit very recently. He didn't like to waste his time doing unnecessary things in class. He didn't waste time talking to people and playing games on his computer when he could be doing his work for the class and for other classes as well. And when I asked him about it, he just explained to me that he simply hates fun, which might sound a little bit excessive, but that's not what he really meant. He just meant he doesn't want to indulge in the, quote, fun activities because he's more dedicated to the long-term goals that he has set for himself. So Mark and I got to talking, and slowly but surely he introduced me to many interesting concepts. Many were over my head. Some of them may have not even been the best ideas, but overall, they were pretty good. And probably the best thing he showed me were some books that he recommended I read. And now, I had never read a book. Well, I'd read a book before, but not in many years. So, like, it was a big moment for me, actually having a book to read and trying to finish it. I didn't even think I was going to finish the book that he first recommended to me, which was Atomic Habits by James Clear. But in the end, I read it. I got myself to get through the entire thing, and that's when the journey started. And I kept reading more books, kept learning new things. I kept talking with Mark every single day, and we kept sharing our insights about several different topics. And it was truly just quite interesting. And I just think if I never gotten the chance to meet Mark, I probably would not have experienced almost any of that, simply because I had no motivation to change myself. I was completely fine just living the same life I'd been living because all my other friends, that's what they had been doing as well. They were living, the average regular life that most people live. Mark was really the only exception. And in fact, many people thought he was weird for what he was doing and the things that he taught me about. So a lot of these YouTube videos, they got these thumbnails and they got the title saying, "Don't tell people about self-improvement," and just let them keep living their own life. Don't spread the message about it. And their whole thing is, people won't listen to you if you try to explain to them what you're doing. They're just going to ignore you and think you're weird and crazy. And I'll admit that may be the case sometimes. I have met some people who act like that, but you do meet some people that you really can change and that you really can, whose lives you really can affect, such as mine. My life was completely changed because someone specifically did not follow this instruction to not tell his friends about self-improvement, and specifically actually went about doing so. Now, I'm not saying every single person you meet, you gotta tell them about your life and about the self-improvement. I'm also not saying that you have to excessively brag about it or excessively tell them and make it seem like you're living the perfect life when you actually are not. But when you find avenues to spread the word and spread the message, you should. I feel like if you have gained some value from this journey, it is really you need to share it with other people and to allow them to gain the same benefits that you gained yourself. Now, of course, I do agree that the best way to exemplify this is through example. Like, live the example of your life and just watch as people naturally are impressed by it and think that it's an amazing thing that they should follow as well. That's part of what Mark was doing, since he led such a great example I didn't just think that he was just saying these things without any real basis for it. He was actually living the things he was saying. So yes, example is critical, but if you never make the effort to actually teach people about the things you're learning, there's a good chance they never will try to seek it out themselves, even despite that. They'll just dismiss you or think that you're some anomaly or that you're weird. It's not until they actually learn your thought processes that they actually might think, maybe I should implement some of these myself. But another important thing to mention is you don't want to seem like you always know what's best for people. That's a big thing in self-improvement, and I've made that mistake many times myself with offering advice to people. You don't want to seem like you are some like all-knowing person who knows exactly what these people can do to change their lives. Offer advice, but don't be excessive about it, isn't a very important thing to keep in mind as well. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you gained some value from it. If you did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel so we can reach more people every single day. Anyway, this is Jimmy, signing off.